So this one was a different one for me to see in theaters. This is on seeing The Avengers in a movie theater in South Africa in the first half of 2012. Today is Saturday, 26 July 2025, and I am Tanis Coralee of Seattle, and I reflect on seeing 2012 film The Avengers in a movie theater in Port Elizabeth, South Africa when I was studying abroad at Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University in the same city. 6-month student visa, January 2012 to June 2012. So this is one that I think per online documentation it says its release is actually later than it actually was. At least like worldwide or in certain regions. I learned a bit by going to this one. I've learned from a few things in life that online documentation, even if it's an online encyclopedia or Google and stuff, it's not always accurate. And so this is actually one of those ones where I learned that. I've also been like out doing geology field work, and there'll be a road on Google Maps that'll show no road. So there's like stuff like that where it's just like, while the internet is nice, it is not entirely consistent with physical reality. And so this is one of those ones that I saw a few months before it released in theaters in the United States of America. So I saw it a few months before I left in June 2012. And then I came back to the United States of America, and it was like just entering theaters or something like that. And I was like, I didn't expect Africa to be more, like months ahead of the United States of America, especially in Hollywood. But I went to a cinema, so it wasn't like something kind of shady, you know. It was an actual cinema with theater seating and you know, all the theater cinema theater, movie theater kind of stuff. But it was Africa. It's the only movie I've seen in a movie theater outside the United States of America. I've brought that up previously on this channel. And do I remember anything? I remember having, I would call it like an agitated, maybe, mental state when I saw it. And like my calm while watching the movie was Tom Hiddleston, who played the bad guy, or a bad guy. And so it was kind of like a weird movie in that sense of like in actually being. So The Avengers is a comic book movie, or I don't actually know if it's, I classify it as like a comic book movie / superhero movie, that kind of thing. Some of the characters in it aren't actually from comic books. They're from like, you know, engravings on stones over 1,000 years ago, you know, kind of thing. So comic book isn't technically the right term. It might be the superheroes, but at least not for all the characters. And so in that sense, and it has different people from like different characters from different fictional realms that they pull together in one kind of team for the Avengers, and they're trying to, you know, essentially stop this bad guy from doing stuff. And yeah, so I think the mental state kind of, I haven't really reflected on it other than like I was sexually assaulted multiple times on multiple occasions when I lived in South Africa. And so this was one that was like, am I going to get sexually assaulted? And that's what this mental state is. And like, for whatever reason, Tom Hiddleston in this movie is non-triggering. Should I remember that if I get sexually assaulted? I think it was before. And if it wasn't before the first time, it was between the two. So it was kind of like a weird, in hindsight, documentation of, yeah, it took a lot to work through that agitated mental state, and like that came with being sexually assaulted in the manner I was. And Tom Hiddleston in this movie was my calm, and I was like, I don't know how to interpret that. He's hot, but like one of a kind with that look, no matter how many people copycat him. Okay. So on seeing The Avengers in a movie theater in South Africa in the first half of 2012, it was very similar to seeing a movie in the United States of America, only it was before this movie was released in the United States of America. So, there we go. Thank you for joining me.